He's somebody who's forever agitated. That's a problem. But I don't want to turn this into a course about prophets.
But the agitation is between the divine revelation or whatever and the here and now.
That's it.
That's the tension.
The tension is his condition as an axis mundi. He's an axis mundi, and that's the tension that the prophets feels. Okay? Let's now move on to the next level, another axis mundi, and that is not a person, but rather the land of Israel. Okay? And the land of Israel. Let's see what the book of Deuteronomy, the end of the Torah, just before they're about to enter into that land which they had not yet seen, says about the land which you are about to possess. Look what it says. For the land whither thou go in to possess it is not as the land of Egypt, from whence ye came out, where thou didst sow the seed and didst water it with thy foot, as a garden of herbs. Look what it says about that land. It is a land which the Lord thy God cares for. The eye of the Lord thy God, the eyes of the Lord our God are always upon it, from the beginning of the year even unto the end of the year. In other words, the book of Deuteronomy seems to put the land of Israel as a category unto itself. And not only a category unto itself. The land of Israel is perceived, in so many words, as a theography and not just a geography. A theography, I mean, it is a land that takes an active part in the covenantal relationship between God and Israel. And I brought for you here a few examples. The first one, circumcision. What is the act of circumcision? Cutting off the foreskin, right, of the male infant as a sign of covenant between the God of Israel and the male, right? There is a type of circumcision that we are not very aware of, and that is, look at that. The first one in Genesis 17 is the circumcision that we all know of, right? Of the male. And look at Leviticus 19. And when you shall come into the land, and shall have planted all manners of trees for food, then you shall count the fruit thereof as forbidden. Now, forbidden in the English, in the Hebrew is with a foreskin. Orla, the same foreskin of the penis, the same word. It has a foreskin. 3 years shall it be as forbidden, literally uncircumcised. Unto you, it shall not be eaten. And in the 4th year, all the fruit thereof shall be holy, for giving praise unto the Lord. But in the 5th year, you may eat it, the fruit thereof may yield unto you, blah, 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 blah. In other words, for 3 years, the fruit of the land of Israel, not outside the land, within this theography, the fruit is considered uncircumcised. And on the 4th year, it becomes sanctified by this kind of act of circumcision. You are giving it the covenantal ritual, which renders it, first of all, allowable for the priests, and on the 5th year, edible. Okay? So here is a fruit of the tree of the land, which undergoes some act of a covenantal pledge with a foreskin. Let's look at Shabbat. Shabbat on Exodus 31 is one of the places in the Bible when we hear about the covenant of Shabbat between the people of Israel between the people of Israel and God. Okay? And now let's look at Leviticus chapter 25. Just flip to the next page. And the Lord spoke unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When you come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto the Lord. This is known as the Hilchot Shemitah. Hilchot Shemitah means every 7th year you should give the land rest. In the biblical narrative of Leviticus chapter 25, the wording is, allow the land to keep Sabbath. Instead of every week, every 7th year. Okay? And if you do not allow the land to keep the Sabbath, what shall happen to you? If you continue reading, I didn't put it here. For every Sabbath, for every sabbatical year that you didn't give it, I will banish you from that land, and this land will remain barren for the amount of time which you had not allowed it to rest. So here's a land that undergoes circumcision, keeps the Sabbath, right? And there is another example, which I did not put here, and it is tzedakah. Tzedakah itself. One of the words or the terms, some of the terms that come back in prophetic language over and over and over again. Do not oppress the orphan. Do not oppress the widow. Do not oppress the poor. Blah, blah. You know that, right? What are you supposed to do when you harvest your land and you forget to sow the corners of your field? They're known as leket, pe'ah, v'shichicha. What are you supposed to do? Leave it to the orphan, poor, and widow. It is that if you pick the harvest and it falls from your tractor, what are you supposed to do? Leave it. Okay? Allow the land to partake actively in the act of tzedakah. So there are 3 examples, all of which are covenantal by nature. Brit, milah, or foreskin, Shabbat, and tzedakah. The land negotiates the relationship between the people of Israel and the God of Israel. The land is an axis mundi in its own right. Okay? Now you talked about miracles as well. And we mentioned miracles as a sign of divine endorsement. So here's an example from Jeremiah that glorifies God. And of course we have many of them, so I just gave you one. He praises God and says, God who set signs and wonders in the land of Egypt, even until this day, and in Israel and among other men, and made you a name at this day. Thou did God first bring the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt with signs and with wonders and with a strong hand, with an outstretched arm and with great terror. In other words, in the biblical language, wonders, miracle, and signs come to do what? To prove what? That, not just prophecy, there were also miracles to kings. Or the greatness of God, but more than that, the greatness of God and the divine endorsement of whatever is happening. That's what I want you to understand. A miracle suggests an infusion of divinity, of the absolute into the temporal, of the meta-historical into the historical. It is a manipulation of nature. It is a manipulation of science. It is a manipulation of everything we accept as normal in order to tell mortals God's hand was it this. Whoever is speaking and is backed by a miracle is perceived as enjoying some sort of divine agreement.
Question.
Yes?
So your definition of miracle is something outside the norm. In other words, living for a prophet, okay, who's living in the here and now, who understands and clearly sees the present reality right now, has a clear understanding if there's this divine connection to make the prophecy of saying if you keep moving in the direction you're going, you have deep problems. So, but he can see because he's here to see. Most of us are so preoccupied that we're not here. But living here, there is a miracle in and of itself. There's a clarity that is experienced, that is understood, implied in that experience.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'm not sure that will be a biblical rationale. You just remind me of a wonderful graffiti that I once saw in Rehov HaMasger next to Teatron Tmuna, which is a great place, by the way, if you ever have a chance to go there. And it said in Hebrew, it said, "Ata chai ve'adayin mechapes nisim." You're alive and you're still looking for miracles. It really struck me. I said, "Wow, what an insight! What a beautiful insight!" I mean, here you are saying how life sucks, and you don't understand the contradiction in terms. A prophet, and you're absolutely right, and we'll talk about it in a minute when we move to the rabbinic level. A prophet is never perceived as a divine. He or she are always a human being, because the idea is that justice and the social justice, the trajectory of social justice must come from a human being. Otherwise, you leave human beings with the pretext or the excuse of saying, oh, easy for you to say. If you're divine, of course you can live like that, but I'm merely a mortal. If a mortal speaks like that, then we have something to talk about. So you're absolutely correct. A miracle comes to give some sort of a communal validity to the very intimate connection between the prophet and the people, or the king and the people, or whatever it is. The point here to understand that in the biblical language, miracles are an established phenomena that comes to show the reactions or the relationship between the divine and the earthly. And the reason I'm saying that is because miracles are also a form of an excess mundi. And now, after we've established that, and it's now 7:30, now we have to move to the second temple destruction. Jumping. Many things happen in between. But I had to give you a whole hour of a context so we may understand, once and for all maybe, why is the destruction of the second temple still lamented until this very day? For many of us, I don't know how many of us